Hello there, welcome to this video on JavaScript functions. JavaScript functions are a block of code designed to perform a certain task. So the JavaScript function is executed or called when something invokes it. So to invoke a function means you're calling it to perform a task. There are many built-in functions in JavaScript. You may have come across one before called the alert. That's responsible for the pop-up boxes that comes up on the browser. You can also create your own functions. A JavaScript function is defined with the function keyword, followed by the name, then followed by parentheses. You must enclose parentheses. Function names can contain certain letters, digits, even underscores, and the $sign. They also follow the same rules as the variables. The parentheses may include parameter names, which are separated by commas. So inside the parentheses, you could have parameter 1 or parameter 2. They're also known as arguments. So the code that will be executed by the function is placed inside the curly braces or curly brackets. So the code that will be executed by the function is placed inside the curly brackets. Function parameters are the names listed in the function definition. So when you define a function, the actual parameters are the names. But when you actually give the function a value, they are known as arguments. So function arguments are the real values that are received by the function when the function is invoked or called. Inside the function, the arguments behaves as a local variable. That means the variable is only available within the scope of the function. Function invocation, or when you call a function, means something happens that will make the function to perform a task. For example, when you click on a button on a website, you are invoking a function. Something happens in response to that click. It's called a click event, but is driven by a function. Functions also have a return statement. So when the JavaScript function reaches a return statement, the function will stop executing. The code stops. So if the function was invoked or called from a statement, then JavaScript will return to execute the code after invoking the statement. Functions that often compute a return value always return the value back to the caller, to whoever invoked the function. All right, this is a sample function that I have created that will add two numbers together and return a value. Functions are very useful in that you can define the function once and then reuse it as many times as possible. If you think about the alert function, that was defined once and then you can use it anytime you want from within the browser. All right, so this is a function I have written to add two numbers together, to multiply two numbers together. So this is a keyword function, and then I've given it a name called add numbers. So it will, in between the parentheses are parameters. So anything without a certain value inside the parentheses is called parameters. So I've got two parameters there, parameter number 1 and then parameter number 2. So I've also got a variable here called result, and the value of the variable is number 1 times number 2. So I'll change that to a plus. Okay, so the value of this variable result will be number 1 plus number 2. The return here, the return statement, is used to return the result. So when you actually pass actual values, they are called arguments. So to call the function, I've created a function here. So to call the function, so remember I'm outside the function now because this is a curly braces. So I'm calling the function outside of the function. So I've called it using an alert, and I've called it by its name. Its name is called add numbers, and I've given it 2 arguments. So when you actually pass real values, they're called arguments. So because it's specified here that it takes 2 parameters, 1 and 2. So I've now given it real values, which are known as arguments. I've given it 2 arguments, and there they are. So when I execute this alert function, function here, it will show the result of the number of these 2 values added together. All right, so this is an alert, which is a function on its own built into JavaScript. And then I've called my own function I've created called add numbers. So functions are always identified by the parentheses. This is my parentheses for my function, and I've passed it 2 arguments. So when the values are real, they're called arguments. But when you expect something to be passed in, they're called parameters. That's why I've got parameters 1 and parameter 2. At this stage, I don't know what the values would be, so they're known as parameters. But when you pass actual values, they become arguments. So this function here takes 2 arguments. So let me run that, and then you see the result. There you go, 16. So it's giving me the result of 16, which is I've added number 1 and number 2 together, and the result is 16. So this is what the alert function has printed on the screen or displayed on the screen. So in this video, I gave you a brief introduction to functions and how they are created and the benefits of having functions. I hope the video has been useful. If there are parts of the videos, or if you don't understand any parts of it, please message me. I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you so much for your time.